Hello. Before we open this new chapter, I would like to point out that the references used in the creation of each of our videos are always provided in their corresponding description sections. I encourage those who are curious to go back and revisit these. Let us now move on to the story of the Battle of Siffin. Syria was engulfed in war hysteria. It was at this point that a group of Quran readers who so far had opposed any idea of a civil war went to see Muawiya. Their question was simple: why do you oppose Ali, whilst you are his inferior in rank as a companion and lack his close kingship with the Prophet? Muawiya could not argue against this, so instead asked if they were aware that Uthman had been killed wrongfully. The Quran readers responded affirmatively, so they requested that Muawiya writes a letter to Ali to ask for the surrender of the killers of Uthman. The letter was then to be entrusted to them for its delivery. Here, Muawiya obliged and produced a letter which was given to Abu Muslim al-Khawlani, the leader of the Quran readers. In this letter, Muawiya began by praising Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman as the caliphs before, but immediately berated Ali as such. Each of them you envied, and against each one you revolted. Then you were consumed by envy towards no one more than your cousin Uthman, who was more entitled among them to you, refraining from that because of kingship. Yet you cut the bonds of kinship, incited the people against him in secret and openly, and he was killed whilst you were with him in the same place, hearing the frightful screams. I swear truthfully that had you stood up in this affair of his, even a single time, restraining the people from him, the people with us would not have considered anyone equal to you. If you are truthful, give us power over his murderers, that we may kill them for him, and we shall be the quickest people to join you. From this letter, we can see that at this point Muawiya and Amr ibn al-As were fully committed to their propaganda campaign. As we know, Ali had repeatedly advised and warned Uthman, and it was him who had successfully negotiated on his behalf with the Egyptian rebels. In fact, Uthman would have been saved had his cousin Marwan not continued to stir trouble. With the letter in his hand, Abu Muslim set off for Kufa. Upon his arrival, he delivered the letter to Ali and stated that he preferred him as a ruler to Muawiya, and thus offered, Uthman has been killed wrongfully. Hand his murderers to us, and you will be our emir. In response, Ali asked him to return the next day to receive his letter for Muawiya. However, the news of this offer somehow began to spread in Kufa. In response, a large group of men gathered in the mosque dressed for battle, shouting, "We all have killed Uthman." Having seen this, the next day, Abu Muslim commented to Ali, "I have seen a people over whom you have no command." Ali replied that he never intended to hand anyone over to him. With this, Ali gave his letter of response to Abu Muslim to take back to Syria. In this letter, Ali reminded Muawiya of the origin story that the Umayyads pretended to have forgotten. Ali recalled the story of the Prophet as he began his message in Mecca, a time of hardship when Ali and his immediate family flocked around him for support. They did not abandon Muhammad despite all the threats and pressure they were put under. Ali and his family were there when times were tough. Then others joined step by step. However, some did not join Islam until they had no choice left. Ali then stated that after the Prophet had passed, the Quraysh and the Ansar quarreled over his successorship. Yet the Quraysh won by arguing that no one was closer to Muhammad than them. Yet by this argument, Ali and his kin were more meritorious and deserving in the matters of succession. Ali then followed by mentioning a story about Muawiya's father, Abu Sufyan, and what he did after the passing of the Prophet. Your father came to me when the people put up Abu Bakr as their ruler and said, "You are more entitled to this matter after Muhammad. I back you in this against whoever opposes you. Stretch your hand, that I pledge allegiance to you." You know that your father said this and desired it, and that then it was I who declined because the people were still close to infidelity and I feared division. Thus, your father was more ready to recognize my right than you. If you recognize my right, which your father recognized, you will come to your good senses. But if you will not, God will let us dispense with you. Let us take a pause and assess Muawiya's proposition, so we may understand why Ali came to reject it. Muawiya promises his allegiance in exchange for the surrender of those who have murdered Uthman. So why would Ali not surrender them in order to secure his kingdom and avoid conflict? First, we must consider Muawiya's ambition. He must have been certain that upon giving his allegiance, Ali would not have maintained him as the governor of Syria, especially with how things had gone between them recently. Therefore, this proposal was a mere ruse dressed under the pretense of revenging Uthman. For if Ali accepted the terms, Muawiya would have the power to call for anyone to be sent to him for judgment. This is so, as many had a hand in the siege or the assault on Uthman's palace. Furthermore, he could even accuse those who withheld support from Uthman as responsible. Lastly, had these terms been accepted, Muawiya could have obtained forced confessions from those surrendered against Ali to give himself cause to depose him. However, Ali saw right through this and never entertained the idea. After this exchange of letters and with both sides set in their positions, war seemed inevitable. A council of the Muhajirin and the Ansab were therefore called upon by Ali, who unanimously called for war against the deceivers. However, not everyone in Kufa shared the same view. Some voiced their doubts and asked Ali to write to Muawiya again. Some protested publicly, and some even took flight from the city. In the end, Ali gave orders for the army to be summoned to the war camp at al-Nukhayla. Here, he was joined by his governors from Isfahan and Basra alongside their troops. In Syria, Abu Muslim al-Khawlani, fresh off his return from Kufa, had begun to take the bloodied shirt of Uthman on a tour of the garrison towns and incited people to revenge. Muawiya had also come to terms with the Byzantine emperor and reached a truce so he could give his undivided attention to the battle at hand. We must end this episode here on the precipice of war. Stay with us as we near the height of our series on the battle that changed humanity forever.